Hello folks, Steven here and welcome into TK Power Sports. Come along right now as we run down the list of the most affordable ATVs available on the market for the 2026 model year. Let's dive right in. Before we dive in, just a few notes I want to hit. First of all, for my Canadians, we're going to do Canadian pricing after US pricing, so you can skip forward in the video if you want to just see that. Second of all, I just want to say there's always comments when I make these videos about a whole bunch of other brands, more emerging or lesser known ATV brands. Listen, they might be good. I just don't have really personal experience with a lot of those brands. So if you do, please share your experiences. But for now, I'm sticking with all of the major brands. And in this video, we're going to be talking about 9 different ATVs from those brands. And then finally, I think it is important to acknowledge that not all of these ATVs directly compete, but in each case, they are the most affordable units from those brands. And some brands just choose not to play at the very bottom end of the market. And now let's run down the list and you'll see what I'm talking about. Kicking off the list at number 9 is the Suzuki King Quad 400, which sells for $7,099 in the United States. Now, the King Quad 400 uses a 376cc single-cylinder engine. It measures in at 81 inches long, 45.5 inches wide, and 36.8 inches tall. And I'm going to list the size for each one of these units because you'll realize that as we go up the list and things get more affordable, generally the ATVs also get a little bit smaller. Now, one point of interest on the King Quad is you can get it with a CVT, that's a belt-driven transmission, or you can get it with a 5-speed manual foot shift transmission, and they're actually at the exact same price. So for that $7,099, you get to pick which transmission you want in your King Quad. Moving up, we get to the Polaris Sportsman 450, which sells for $6,999 in the States. The Sportsman 450 has a 499cc single-cylinder engine, making 33 horsepower. It has 25-inch tires, and it's also a larger unit. It's one of the biggest on the list. It comes in at 83 inches long, 48 inches wide, and 47 inches tall, which basically makes it a full-size ATV. It's just down on power, and that's something that Polaris does. They don't make a truly sort of small, mid-size, or compact ATV like some of the other brands on this list do. Now, the Sportsman does have all-wheel drive, and that's important to mention because as you'll see as we go up the list, a lot of these models are only 2-wheel drive. And I should say the King Quad before it was 4-wheel drive as well. Next on the list is the Yamaha Kodiak 450, which sells for $6,699. It uses a 421cc single-cylinder engine. It has 25-inch tires and 4-wheel drive, but it's a little smaller than the Sportsman. The Kodiak 450 comes in at 80.1 inches long, 46.5 inches wide, and 45.7 inches tall. Next up, just barely undercutting that Kodiak, is the Can-Am Outlander 500 2-wheel drive, which sells for $6,649 in the US. Now, this is the biggest engine on the list because the base Outlander, even though it's called a 500, it uses a 650cc engine, which is just ECU tuned to put it in that 500 category. In this case, it makes 40 horsepower. Now, this thing does have 25-inch tires. It's some of the most wheel travel on the list, offering up to 10 inches of travel. But as I also mentioned, it's just 2-wheel drive. It's the first machine we've gotten to that is just 2-wheel drive. So the price point is pretty attractive, but you have to remember what you're getting for that. Now, when it comes to size, this is also sort of like the Sportsman. It's a pretty sizable ATV at 86.7 inches long, 47 inches wide, and 48 inches tall. Next, we get to the Argo Explorer 500, which sells for $6,299 in the US. It offers a 443cc single-cylinder, 24-inch tires, so it's the first unit on the list with a slightly smaller tire, and it has 4-wheel drive and 7.5 inches of wheel travel, which is pretty decent. Now, for overall size, this thing is definitely shorter than the rest of the ATVs we've looked at just 75 inches long, but width is there at 48.4 inches, and height comes in at 47.6 inches. In fact, this is the widest ATV on this list at 48.4 inches wide. So still pretty sizable and four-wheel drive at a pretty decent price point. Now let's move up and get to our top 3 on the list.
Hey everybody, Steven here, out doing one of my favorite things on the planet, riding my snowmobile today. And I just wanted to quickly show you something new I just got from my helmet. That is the Cardo Pack Talk Edge. It's a helmet communicator. I have a little microphone I installed in here, a couple of earphones up here, and I'm able to hear everything. And so far, this thing has been awesome. When I'm out riding, it allows me to take phone calls in my helmet, which is pretty cool. I've also been able to listen to some music while I've been riding, which has been pretty fun. And then when I bring my kids with me, I actually got a second communicator I installed on my second helmet. So when the kids are on the back of the sled, we can actually be talking to each other, which is massively helpful. So far, really enjoying this Cardo Pack Talk Edge. Cardo is not paying me to say this, although they did send me this unit for free. But so far, that's really been my experience, that it's worked well. So if you're interested in helmet communicators, I definitely recommend these. I'm going to throw a link up. You can click there. It'll take you to the store. You can check them out. We will get a kickback if you buy from that link. But yeah, my honest opinion is that these things work good. And honestly, it looks pretty slick too. And I like that it's not bulky. I'm always worried that the earphones inside are going to be pushing against my ears, or the mic is going to be bothering my mouth or chin. And so far, it fits in the helmet really well too. So yeah, if you're looking for helmet communicators, check out Cardo Pack Talk Edge. And you might see some more on some Cardo stuff coming up once summertime hits and we can ride ATVs and side-by-sides and take trucks off-road. But for now, it's all about the snowmobiling. So yeah, hit the link if you're interested in one of these Cardos.
And we start that top 3 with the Kawasaki Brute Force 300, which sells for $5,199 in the US. It has a 271cc single cylinder, which does put out 21 horsepower. Now this thing has 22-inch tires, so now we're into some much smaller tires, and just two-wheel drive. It's also a much smaller unit, 75.4 inches long, only 42.5 inches wide, and overall height at 46.1 inches. So yes, we've now gotten into a much smaller unit with this Kawasaki. At number 2, we might get to the actual best value on this list, even though it's not the most affordable, and that's because it is the CF Moto C-Force 400 base, which sells for $4,999 in the US. This thing offers a 400cc single-cylinder engine, which has 30 horsepower. It also gets four-wheel drive. It gets a locking differential, 24-inch tires, 7.5 and 8.9 inches of wheel travel, which is really good. And then in typical CF Moto fashion, and they always do this and they always brag about it, they build in a bunch of extras, even to the base model. Things like four-wheel disc brakes. You're getting a set of mirrors, a 2-inch hitch is included, a small LCD screen, a USB-C port, and a 12-volt port. So CF Moto has made its name on adding more at a more basic price, and that's what you have here. So even though this is number 2 on the list, it definitely comes with the most features, and it's four-wheel drive, and it's not a tiny little ATV. It's 80 inches long, 44 inches wide, and 45 inches tall. But the true number 1, the most affordable ATV you can buy now from a major brand in the US is the Honda 4Trax Recon, which undercuts that CF Moto just a little bit and sells for $4,849 US. Now for that money, you're getting a 229cc engine, just 4.9 and 5.1 inches of travel, 22-inch tires, and a manual shift transmission. This thing is properly small at 75 inches long, 40.7 inches wide. That is the skinniest ATV on the list, and 42.1 inches tall. So that 4Trax Recon does come in with the lowest actual price tag, but it's going to be one of the smallest and least powerful on this list. Whereas the CF Moto, it's offering a lot for just a little bit more money. And there you have it, folks. That is the list for the US, and you've heard a lot of the details, so I'm not going to go over those again. But for my Canadians, listen up, because I will run down the Canadian list, and there's a few differences. First of all, the Honda 4Trax Recon, the most affordable Honda in the US, well, it's not even available in Canada. In Canada, the Honda lineup starts with the Rancher 420, so we don't get that base Honda. So in Canada, the Honda is not the most affordable model. So I'll start at number 9 and count down for the Canadian market. At number 9, the most expensive is actually the Yamaha, and yes, that's how we say it here in Ontario, Yamaha. The Yamaha Kodiak 450 comes in at $10,574 Canadian, and I've noticed this a lot actually. Yamaha Canada has a tendency to price their machines a lot more aggressively than they are in the US. Now moving up to number 8, we have the Honda Rancher 420, and that thing is a lot bigger and more robust than that little 4Trax Recon. It offers a 420cc single cylinder, 24-inch tires. Again, it's 47.4 inches wide, unlike that tiny 40-inch width. So yeah, it's a much bigger machine than that smaller 4Trax Recon, which I guess the Canadians just decided wouldn't sell in this market. Moving up then, we get to the Suzuki King Quad 400, which sells for $9,929. Then the Polaris Sportsman 450 for $98.89. Can-Am Outlander 500 comes in at $8,999 in Canada. The Argo Explorer 500 is number 3 on the Canadian list at $8,699. The CF Moto C-Force 400 is also number 2 in Canada, and again, likely does offer the best value. It sells for $6,999 Canadian. But the most affordable ATV here in Canada is the Kawasaki Brute Force 300, which sells for $6,299 Canadian. Well, folks, with that, we've come to the end of this video. Now, please, I want to hear from you. Let me know your thoughts on both of the lists down below in the comments. Do you own any of these ATVs? I would like to hear your feedback on them. And then, as always, while you're down below leaving that comment, don't forget to hit like, hit subscribe, hit join, become a member of TK Power Sports, and then come right back here to the channel to see what we're testing next. See ya.